Let's talk to the only queer royal prince in the world, India's Prince Manvendra Singh Gohil. Welcome to Unapologetically Queer. I'm your host, Al Ferguson, and I am proud to talk to some of the most interesting people that are inspiring our LGBTQ plus community. At Hotspots Happening Out, one of our objectives is to bring inspiring queer stories and information from across the world to our audiences. Today, we are going to talk about the Lakshya Trust and its founder, who is considered since 2006 to be the first openly gay prince in the world. He is also known to be one of India's foremost LGBTQ plus activists. He is Prince Manvendra Singh Gohil. Welcome, Prince. And I understand, as you join us, you are unapologetically queer. Do I have that right?
Yes. Thank you for having me on this show, and it's a big honor for me. Thank you.
Thank you, and we're thrilled to bring you to our American LGBT audience. Let's start with what is happening in India. We've done many stories this year about LGBTQ plus rights being considered in India, including the courts on the advancement of gay marriage. We remind our audience it was all the way until 2018, in the middle of the Trump presidency, that homosexuality was still illegal in India, punishable under a colonial-era draconian law that demanded up to life imprisonment for anyone committing sexual acts against the order of nature, which is how it was defined. Prince, I'm curious, from your seat, where is LGBTQ plus justice, social justice, heading in India?
Yeah, you asked a very relevant question. So, yes, you're right. In 2018, we did get decriminalized. The homosexual act was decriminalized. But socially, a lot needs to be changed yet. Still, there are a lot of us who are subject to stigma and discrimination. A lot of us our human rights, our basic rights are being violated. At many places, at workplace, at home front. So I think a lot of advocacy still needs to be done, despite the fact that the decriminalization has happened almost now 5 years ago, in 2018. And now we are at the forefront where we are challenging the government to recognize our marriage rights, to give us the rights to marry our loved ones. So that the matter is going on currently in the Supreme Court, and we are hopeful that we will get a favorable judgment in the month of July. Now the courts are closed. We have summer vacations. The good thing is that the Indian judicial system is quite favorable, and there's a bench of 5 judges which has been appointed. One of the judge, who is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, is one of the judge who also heard our case in 2018 and gave us a historic judgment. So the hearings are happening. The other good thing which is happening is that the Supreme Court decided that they want to make the hearings should be heard by everyone. So they have given permission for live streaming. So anyone and everyone watching anywhere in the world can watch the hearings happening while they are happening. Yeah, so that's something which has not happened in India much, and the government opposed it, but still the Supreme Court said no. We would like the whole world to know what's happening in the Supreme Court.
What's going on in India?
So, yeah.
We've reported many times about the legal progression that's going on in India. So you expect this? I want to kind of recap what you just said. You expect a ruling in July, and the hearing itself is going to be published, broadcast, and streaming. We'll, at Core News Tonight, share information of how people can watch that. Is your expectation that the expansion of rights through your Supreme Court in India will happen? Is that your expectation, or are you optimistic?
Yes, I'm pretty much optimistic about the fact that we will definitely get rights. we may not get all the rights we have asked for. For example, there are various marriage acts in India. We've got marriage acts which are based on religion. We have got a special marriage act. We have the foreign marriage act. But what my feeling is that the Supreme Court is going to amend the special marriage act, where marriages happen inter-caste, inter-religion, and especially, they are planning to replace the word man and woman and make it unisex, like, kind of make it gender neutral, and replace words like have spouse or have partner, something of that sort. So that I'm sure they would work out something with that special marriage act. But the only other thing which now will come into picture is adoption rights, which is being heard in the court, though that was not the premise of this petition which were filed, but still it has come up in the hearings. So that I think there will be many other issues related to the marriage rights and adoption. Then there's inheritance. All that needs to be taken into account as well while this case is being heard. Now, the government, on the other hand, is not willing to agree to the Supreme Court, and they are again and again telling that this matter is not a matter of the court, and the court has no right to decide on this the same-sex marriage petition, and it is the legislature or the parliament which should decide whether the right should be given or not. And very recently, just before the courts closed for the vacation, the government has told the Supreme Court that we wish to organize a committee within the government, and let that committee decide on the rights, whether the right should be given, not given, whether without marriage can same-sex couples enjoy the rights which the heterosexual couples are enjoying in India. So these are all things which are being discussed. But I'm sure the court will do us justice, and when they reopen in July, I'm pretty sure we will get a favorable judgment.
Yeah, it's very exciting news. We remind our viewing audience how significant this is in India. If standard percentages of L, G, and B hold true, surveys and extensive studies in the United States, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom, if the same general percentage stands fast of approximately 7% of the population identifies as LGBT, even if you take the T out, remember we're talking about estimates of between 70 and 100 million LGB in India. So this has dramatic impact in terms of what we're watching on the Indian subcontinent. I want to talk, Prince, a little more about you personally. We've been working on being able to do this live interview with you. You made a lot of news this year, which I want to cover. But let's go back to the beginning. You founded the Lakshya Trust in 2000, at the beginning of the 21st century. It is a group dedicated to HIV/AIDS education and prevention. It works with HIV/AIDS prevention among men, principally. It provides counseling services, clinics for the treatment of sexually transmitted infections, libraries. It supports condom use, promotion, and distribution. Lakshya won the Civil Society Award, a very prestigious award, in 2006 for its contributions to preventing HIV/AIDS among homosexual men in India. The Trust also creates employment opportunities for gay men and supports other organizations for MSN, men having sex with men, and it plans to open a hospice old age home for gay men. I'm curious, when you did this in 2000, you were not out. We'll get to that story in a minute. But why was the Lakshya so important to you?
See, I grew up in that era where a lot of people were still even struggling to come out to themselves. And even if they have done, there was no platform in those days to even for people like us to come together and to talk about our issues, because these kind of issues, you cannot talk with parents, you cannot talk with friends or family or anyone, but you need somebody of your own like-minded people to even share these issues, like coming out issues, marriage pressure, legal pressures, and especially for us who are getting infected with HIV, which was very scary. So fortunately for us, the state government got in touch and okay, we are looking out for organizations who work for the vulnerable populations such as ours. And if you are willing to organize or form a group or form a charitable organization, we would like to come and support you. And that's how we started. It was very interesting, a very paradox situation that on one hand the government was funding us, supporting us to run an organization knowing fully well it's working for homosexual population, for transgender population, and on the other hand, the government was also penalizing us and criminalizing us for being homosexual, or not just being homosexual, for being gay and for performing the homosexual act. So in a way, many people in those days used to tell us that when government is helping you knowing fully well that you're gay, then isn't government also committing a crime? That was kind of a question which people used to ask us. But the truth is that the government is still funding us. We get support from the state government, as well as we're getting support from the central government for the specifically for the transgender issues.
I one of the things that I was reading that I thought was very interesting is you didn't come out or was outed for a number of years later. I read somebody say that very likely your interaction with the trust was and the reason you were doing it is because it gave you an opportunity to interact with the gay community, but not in an out way. Is that true?
Yes. When I started the Lakshya Trust in the year 2000, I wasn't out. I wasn't even out to my family. Only a very few friends of mine and just the people from the community knew that I was gay. So I was kind of leading a double life, and I started the trust. I started it under the guise of HIV/AIDS and for health department or for health issues. So my family didn't doubt that this was an organization which was being started for the gay community. Most people thought it was an organization dealing with HIV/AIDS issues, which was a fact. It was we were working for HIV and AIDS, but we worked specifically for men having sex with men and the transgender population.
Yeah, and I read conflicting accounts that you were outed in 2006. I know you went in a newspaper article. You admitted that you were gay, and then all kinds of consequences came. The royal family took action. They accused you of bringing dishonor to your family. Your coming out story made worldwide headlines. I want to read a quote that I thought was super interesting of something you said about those days. You said, "The day I came out, my effigies were burnt," meaning effigies of you. "There were a lot of protests. People took to the streets and shouted slogans saying that I brought shame and humiliation to the royal family and to the culture of India. There were death threats and demands that I be stripped of my royal title," end quote. Now, first off, the reason that quotation and that comment about your coming out was so unique and interesting to me is I have heard hundreds and hundreds of coming out stories, but never that people took to the streets and protested, that from a national standpoint, this was a humiliation to a nation. Tell us about that time. What was the experience like in those first days of coming out?
Yeah, thanks for reading out my quote. I wish to add to what I also said in my quote when these things were happening. I said I don't blame the people who have burnt my effigies, or I don't blame the people who have gone against me, or who have been homophobic against me, but I blame their ignorance. I blame their ignorance on the subject, which is sex, sexuality, gender, on homosexuality, which is a subject which is existing in our culture, which has existed in our culture, but people don't wish to talk about it. And I also said that I wish to educate these people, because since they are ignorant, they are not aware about the facts, and they are only aware of the myths and misconceptions of the LGBT population. So it's my duty as an activist to educate them, and it's only after you educate them that they will be able to remove their ignorance and they will be able to accept us. So that's what I started doing. I didn't keep quiet. I said I should educate them. I should make aware of the facts. Media helped me a lot, and for the fact that I was interviewed by Oprah Winfrey. So there were people like her who were great influence on changing the mindset of the Indians.
You made, like with Oprah, you made these international headlines in 2006. But in 2023, you came to international headlines again, which is why we asked to talk to you again. You said that you had faced years of torturous gay conversion therapy, including electroshock, and even the possibility of sending you to America for brain surgery, that you were being evaluated for mental illness because of your being a prince in India, of the royal family, and being gay. Tell me about that experience, the gay conversion therapy, mental counseling, the threat of brain surgery even. Tell us what that experience must have been like for you. Must have been frightening.
Yes, definitely. I mean, it's not just me. There are so many people from our community in India who have been forced, or rather, the parents don't agree, don't accept to their sexuality, and the parents are the ones who are torturing their children. It's very unfortunate that parents who give birth to the children are the ones responsible for torturing their own children, and harassing them to that extent that so many of them they try to commit suicide, they kill themselves, they go into depression. Instead of accepting them, the parents are responsible for creating mental health issues of most of us. So I was also not spared, and when I came out to them, they were not convinced that I could be gay. They were in the total state of denial. And when the doctors tried to explain to them that no, it's nothing, which you should be denying for, you should accept it because it's natural and normal, they said no. Everything has cure in this world. I mean, we have advanced so much. Science and technology has gone so far that you can treat cancer, you can treat tuberculosis, so you can even treat somebody who's gay. Because for them, it was a mental disorder. It was a mental illness. And that's why they thought that, the best way to treat would be that I should be given mental shock therapy. I should be sent to America, and my brain should be opened up. Something called the cerebrum in the brain is something which could be opened up and operated so that I can become normal and I can become natural as the mainstream population is. Yeah. So that was their thought process. But unfortunately for them, unfortunately for me, the American Psychiatric Association way back in 1978 had said that homosexuality is not a mental disorder. So all their attempts of sending me to America to get my brain opened were totally backfired. It didn't happen because no doctor was willing to open up my brain just on the basis of saying that he needs to be treated for homosexuality. Yeah. Because if it's not a disorder, then what is the point of it? There's no point in So they told them that look, there's no point spending so much money and sending him here because this is not a disease, it's not a disorder. So there's no point of even him getting in here and doing anything about me.
We of course we tell our audience the United Nations, World Health Organization have all come out firmly against gay conversion therapy, that it does not work, but most importantly, it is not necessary, to the point that you've just made. And every medical association in America has come out strongly against gay conversion therapy and have suggested that the results of it are far worse than any possible benefits of it. And at the top of the list is self-harm, even suicide. It makes me wonder, as you were going through this, of electroshock and the various versions of mental coercion, of the threat of brain surgery, etc. Did you ever think about suicide?
Yes, I did think about suicide because I mean I'm just any other human being like anyone else. Doesn't matter if you are born in a royal family, but I have the same mindset. So I did contemplate because for no fault of mine, I was being tortured by my parents. And not for this short period. I came out in 2002 to them, and till 2005 I was being tortured by them. And not just tortured in the by sending me to all these doctors and psychiatrists and all, but including religious leaders also. They took me to so many religious leaders, and they made me do so many things which I was just doing out of compulsion, just because I wanted to satisfy them. And I was also cooperating with them. I said, let them get fully satisfied and whatever they want me to do by taking me to these religious leaders, because I was sure within myself that they can't do anything, they cannot convert me.
Yeah.
There's no scope of conversion, so let them try it out whatever they want. But then imagine the humiliation. And they really they try out your patience in seeing that how long this man can. They wanted me to give up. They would wanted me to come up and tell them that, look, mom, and look, dad, I give up. I'm not gay. I'm straight. I made a mistake. That's what they wanted me to do. But I did not do that.
You never did that.
I never did that. I didn't commit suicide. Though I did get suicidal thoughts, but I did not do that. And I just managed to survive.
I'm curious, how is it with your family today? After everything you've been through, have things improved?
Yes, definitely. As I mentioned in the past, that I do not blame them. I blame their ignorance. And as an educator, I went on educating them with the help of media, television, people like Oprah and Kardashians and whatnot, whosoever shows I went to. They were the people who helped change the mindset of my family, and not just them, but many others in India who were like extremely homophobic. Today, my father, he has gifted me a 15 acres of royal establishment on which I'm building a community campus. You were talking about the hospice in the introduction. The hospice, the community campus is being built on that very royal establishment. And not just that, the foundation stone of this hospice, this campus, was also laid by my father.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how things have changed. I mean, I have coined a word called homophobia in transition.
Homophobia in transition. That's lovely.
Homophobia in transition. You can bring out a person from being homophobic to make him or her an ally. That is possible with education.
That's a wonderful message. And also, you're very lucky because if there's one person that might have substantial influence on a Maharaja, it would be Oprah Winfrey. So that's pretty good company. I want to talk to you about culture for a moment in India. This week, we have all been caught by a surprise. Starbucks, a very large supporter of LGBT, headquartered in Washington, in Seattle. Starbucks India introduced a new television commercial this week produced in India for an India audience of embracement from Starbucks that caught much of India and the world by surprise. And I want to ask you about it. But before I do, let's watch this brand new Pride Month commercial in India from Starbucks.
सुनो ना प्लीज Thank you, Papa, for meeting me. I know बड़े साल बीत गए, लेकिन आप आज भी मेरे लिए सब कुछ हो.
कॉफी. तेरी आदतें नहीं बदली.
FayWhat coffees for Arpita. FayWhat coffees for Arpita.
बेटा, मेरे लिए तो आज भी मेरा बच्चा है. बस एक लेटर ही तो ऐड हुआ है तेरे नाम में.
Close the distance in the way. Oh, it starts with your name.
Well, you can't watch that and not think about somewhat of your experience. Yours is not a trans experience, but it is just absolutely caught LGBT America by shock and surprise. What do you think about what Starbucks has done here in India?
Yeah, I think it's a great initiative. I mean, I had heard about this video. I saw it for the first time, and thanks for showing it to me. Very touching, very emotional. Somebody who's from the community watching it, and also any other person also who's watching it definitely gets the message across. And I think Starbucks has done a wonderful thing by creating this inclusion, and especially now we know that Pride Month is coming. So it's. I mean, I think this advertisement is definitely going to help mainstream a lot of issues.
Yeah. One other thing that we want to bring up and ask you about in terms of culture in India. Happening Out Television Network, we actually have a large staff at Happening Out Television Network that works in Pune. In fact, a lesbian in India at our Pune offices is a writer for the show that you're on right now, Unapologetically Queer. What do you think about LGBT America's influence on LGBTQ plus India and vice versa, India's influence on the American LGBT communities?
Yeah, I mean, see, I mean, I have been going to America many times, and thanks to Oprah and many other reasons. I'm married to American also. We will talk about that. So I have noticed that there is definitely a lot of influence between both these countries because of the fact that there's a lot of migration has also happened from India to US. And I'm actually at the moment working on some of the Asian communities, especially the Indian communities who are settled in US and who have come out to their parents as queer or lesbian or gay, and some of them are struggling with their sexuality. I'm actually working very closely with them, and also vice versa. There are a lot of Indians who have got married with Americans, and they've having issues with telling their Indian families about their American partners, whether they are lesbians or they are gays. So, but there definitely, there's a lot of chance of, there's a lot of scope where each other's countries and each other's cultures can influence a lot in improving the lives of the people.
Yeah, you mentioned it in talking about Indian LGBT and American LGBT. You mentioned the relationship you're in. You're actually married to an American. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm repeating what you said.
Yes.
And I understand we're getting ready to celebrate June Pride Month. Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network puts on and produces the Stonewall Pride Parade here in South Florida. And I understand your husband lives here in South Florida. Is that correct? That rumor is true.
Yeah, he is very much in Florida. He lives in the outskirts of Fort Lauderdale. So he's very much in Florida, and I visited him last year. I spent around 2 months in Florida. And I mean, of course, I've been to Florida before, but this time it was for a different reason. And what I liked about Florida is the climate is very similar to India.
Yes, I've been.
Otherwise, yeah. But the only thing which I don't like about Florida is that it has got a lot of laws which are anti-LGBT.
Yeah,
Not just laws, but like there are many things which are happening or which I've been hearing about. They are not kind of LGBT friendly.
Yeah, unfortunately,
So that's
unfortunately, that is true. We have a governor, you might have heard of him, DeSantis,
Yeah.
and we have a former president named Trump. And President Trump is actually only about 40 miles away from our studios. And by the way, our studios are right here in Fort Lauderdale. And the Stonewall Pride Parade will be down Wilton Drive, very famous drive in Fort Lauderdale in Wilton Manor. So please extend the invitation to your husband to join us at Stonewall Pride. We'll be broadcasting the parade live in Apple Television and Roku. One of the things that I also I thought about you recently from the first time I talked to you early last year. And the reason I thought about you and what you've gone through in your story is the coronation of King Charles. How could you not think about the English royal family? And I thought about you very specifically because of all of the stories of Prince Harry. Now, while his story is different than yours, there's some similarities between Prince Harry and the interaction with his royal family. I'm curious from your standpoint of what you watched on the coronation of King Charles and what goes on with Harry and his brother and Harry's moved now to California to get away from family for all intents and purposes. What do you think about the structure of the modern royal family? Do you think it's still relevant? What do you think about royal families around the world?
See, I think things are changing a lot. Like, monarchy is not the same as it used to be in the past. There's not that much of respect is there. Like, people are moving towards more towards democracy and other forms. And I mean, even in UK, I'm pretty sure the people are not that much strongly supporting the monarchy as they were doing in the past. And I think, see, we have to be ready for change. It's a part of our the evolution. We cannot stick to the same old things. We definitely need change, and if it's positive change happening, then why not? So I'm a very broad-minded person that way, if you ask me. So I think anything which is going to get bring good results or get prosperity to any part of the world, we should be ready for that change. India, well, we lost our monarchy and everything in 1947 when India got independent, and we merged our princely states to the Union of India. And thereafter, we are now just commoners. I mean, we are not supposed to be officially using titles also, because the government even has stripped off our titles also. But still, we do have some ceremonial powers still exist with us. We are still able to perform some religious rituals, traditions which have been passed on to us from generation to generation. And I think that's fair on the part of the people to allow us to carry out those traditions and to we can of our areas where we represent them for any issues, any things to be addressed to the government. We try to.
My last question for you, which is kind of a gossipy question, but I'm curious about it. You came out, finally outed and came out in 2006. So since 2006, you hold this public distinction, as far as we know, the only gay prince, royal prince in the world. But in your travels and talking about being a member of the LGBTQ community, are there other royals that are LGBT? They haven't come out, but you know that they exist from one way or another.
Yes, of course. So in fact, when I made my first coming out story in the media, I said I may be the first member of a royal family to come out openly in the world, but not the only one. There are so many of us, so many so-called queens hiding in the closet, in the royal closet. And I know about them, and they all know about me. No, and see, that was one of the ones who are actually scared that now that I have kind of outed myself, and I have kind of talked myself about myself so openly. They were scared that I may out them also.
Yeah.
And they were the ones who were bringing pressure on my parents to stop him. Otherwise, he'll ruin all of us. And uh, because I've heard since childhood, my own parents talking about, oh, following Maharaja is gay, that princess is a lesbian. So these words were not, they were quite common to be heard as a child. I didn't know what was gay and lesbian then, but I did hear these words coming from my own parents' mouths, which mean within the royal families, we all know who is gay and who's lesbian. It's just we don't talk about it, and nobody wants to come out. So I'm still holding the monopoly position in India, the only openly gay royal in India.
Yeah.
There's nobody out as yet, because I think they're all scared of their reputation and fame. So they are all hiding in their closets. But there are many, many royal families I know all over the world who are gay, and I don't think many want to even come out.
Yeah.
And that's their private life. I have no reason to out them, and it's their own decision if they want to come out or they do not want to.
Of course. But it is fun to roll all kinds of names that are running through my head right now. I wonder if, and you've given me a soundbite that I'm going to laugh about over and over. There are many, many royal queens in the closet. I absolutely love that. So Prince Manvendra Singh Gohil, thank you so much for joining us today. Your journey is inspiring. The American LGBTQ community is watching India, and we are cheering the great successes that are going to come later in the summer for 70 to 100 million LGBT people living in India. So thank you very much for joining us at Queer News tonight.
Yeah. Thank you for having me here.